Well, this chapter reveals the Sound Ninjas and actually where they get a lot of their power from, but ultimately the end was what I liked best. Naruto, number 53, Sakura's Decision. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and adventure-filled, action-packed, tune and exam-ridden tale of Naruto. Our last chapter saw us, the last couple actually, with, of course, Sasuke and Naruto being unconscious. Sasuke, of course, having been bit by Orochimaru. And it looks like the ninjas from the Village of Sound, obviously they were descending upon Sakura. And it was not looking good for her until my boy Lee came in there and tried to whip some ass, used his Lotus technique in the last chapter, but ultimately it did not work, and we find out in this chapter why and the reasoning for it, and really kind of the, I guess, some insight into some of the powers of the ninjas from the Village of Sound. So that is how things left off. That is where things pick up over here. And we wind up finding out very quickly that, if you remember when Lee did that technique, the Lotus technique, and wound up, it looked like he was going to smash him into the ground, he actually was able to kind of, it looked like he almost sprung up from the ground. What wound up happening is he didn't get hurt, you know what I mean? There was still some impact, and he explained, that it could have been bad for him, but it wasn't. So we wind up finding out, though, that these things that they have on their arms, these devices that create these high-frequency decibel sounds, and some of this stuff is actually rooted in reality, because there's different types of things that I know the government and different types of law enforcement agencies use, where they actually have like these projected things that project like sound rays that can literally, if you burst somebody's eardrum, it throws them off, obviously, if the decibels go over a certain amount. But then also, if it goes beyond that, you can throw off their equilibrium, and it messes with their balance. If your ears are screwed up like that, it messes with your balance of just being able to walk. And it really is. That's part of what helps keep you upright. So it's amazing how just messing with that, with increased sound waves, and obviously this is just, extreme amounts of them, can really just completely throw you off. So, because Lee winds up going to come at him, and Zaku, I think his name was, this one, I forget all their names. They've only introduced 2 of them so far, anyway. But anyway, he winds up going in and coming at him with this, hitting him with this sound wave thing. And even though Lee blocks the attack, he says, even though and he explains the whole thing, as most villains do, to explain their powers and their little monologuing thing. And he says, you can't block this because of, even if you block the attack, it's the sound waves that get to you, and once it goes over 150 decibels and all this other sort of stuff, and there's a whole diagram about the inner ear, and if it pops the eardrum, and if it actually gets to the fluid within it. So it's really cool to go and see, because Lee is already drained physically. He's already drained physically from the Lotus technique that he went and he pulled off, and he obviously took his body and his muscles to the extreme, to the extreme and beyond, and then it wound up not even really paying off for him, because it really is more of like a one-on-one move, and he's fighting three ninjas. So anyway, so Lee's down, he's down on his knees, clutching his ear. He doesn't know what to do, and he still winds up trying to go in and come at one of them that comes at him from the side, and he winds up using his hurricane technique, or starts to use it. But because of the equilibrium being messed up, and just really, it weakens you. That's why they use, that's why the police and SWAT teams, Army, Marines, all this, that's why they use flashbangs. The flashbang, yes, sure, if you look at it, it winds up temporarily kind of blinding you, making you see stars. But really, the bang part of it is the part that's bad. If a flashbang is thrown into a room or a smaller area, that sound that goes off, man, it literally just puts people down to their knees, clutching their ears. They're off their feet. And then obviously you can come rush in and take care of whatever you need to take care of. So, so that's what I look at it like, is that he was like almost hit like with a flashbang, from close quarters. But anyway, he's not even able to pull off the technique fully. It's able to be easily blocked, and the precision and timing and strength that he had prior to that just isn't there anymore, So as this winds up dragging on, and they're like, all right, now, now we got you, because obviously he's down, those 3 are still up, and they wind up complimenting Lee on it, in a kind of in a backhanded way, saying, hey, listen, you actually, your technique actually forced me to reveal what my powers were, so hats off to you for that. But also, these sound wave devices that they have can also penetrate the ground, and that's where it came in the last chapter, where I didn't really quite understand how the ground turned like soft and spongy, like, because of the sound waves being able to penetrate and break up, obviously, the just, you know, the hard packed earth and make it soft, so he wouldn't die or be severely crippled when he wound up you know, getting hit with that lotus technique. So very cool stuff. I like the explanations of it. I know sometimes I get a little off track because I get a little bit in depth with them. But that's me. That's just how I like the breakdowns of those sort of things in this series or really any other. So it's for me that sometimes the explanation is really cool, and it's ties to real world stuff, you know. But anyway, so then Sakura goes and winds up trying to get in the mix over there, and because she's not going to have it, you know, she's still got a lot of self-doubt and whatnot within her, that she's kind of the third wheel and this and that and blah blah blah. But she winds up going and trying to attack as well. Unfortunately, to no avail. These three, number one, they're just outnumbered, and in a lot of ways, it seems like they're very much outclassed at this point. These three, in addition to obviously being, you know, ninjas, have these. Almost, I mean, you would say almost cheap devices that they have that they can use for the sound stuff. You know, whatever, if that so happens to be their thing, but it doesn't seem like that's any type of natural powers or any type of learned powers. It seems more of like a, hey, I got a gun, I shot you. It seems more of like a device that they use, but maybe I'm mistaking it. We'll see in chapters to come. Nonetheless, though, we wind up seeing Ino's group, and if you remember, her and Sakura used to be kind of close until, you know, they both found out that they liked Sasuke, so then they were going to be enemies and rivals, and they make sure that they remind us of that little flashback. But Ino and her cell wind up, you know, because they had, in the last chapter, kind of been, it had come upon them, you know, from a distance, but just kind of left us hanging there. So they're watching, and they're like, wow, they're really getting creamed out there. Looks like Sasuke and Naruto are just unconscious, but this isn't looking good, you know. So then, you know, oh, should we jump in? What do you think? You know, didn't that used to be your friend, you know? And she's kind of going through this whole mental breakdown of, like, the flashback and how they were, and then how they said they were going to be rivals because they both want Sasuke, sausage. And, you know, it was just childish stuff, but, you know, she's like, well, no, maybe we shouldn't because we wouldn't last 10 seconds against them. There's no point in helping. We'd be more of a detriment than we would be a help. So anyway, then we wind up going and getting. I thought this was kind of cool because Sakura, I know, has been lauded as a character that a lot of people don't like, and myself included, for probably most of that Land of Waves arc, because she didn't do a whole lot but stand around and kind of be a damsel in distress or a liability. However, I do like the just kind of what winds up happening here towards the end of the chapter, and just kind of what she musters and hopefully brings into the next chapter and some more chapters to come. But anyway, so she's at the point where now she's tried to fight back a couple times to no avail. One of the sound ninjas grabs her by her hair and is now holding her, and she's down on her knees being held by her hair. And then he goes and he makes this reference. I love the little references that are made, and you know, about how, oh, your hair is so soft and lustrous. Is that from training of deep conditioning or something like that? You know, and then says something about that's an atrocity that you even have this nice hair. You should be focusing on your ninja skills and your training and whatnot. You know. But anyway, so she's being held there, and obviously the whole deal is they're gonna like force her to watch them kill one of her friends, right? And Lee is still down. He doesn't have any strength, man. And I mean, he's just like, he's trying to bring something. He's trying to bring something, but he's just got nothing. His equilibrium's all screwed up. He's tapped out of obviously the physical energy. He's just not doing well. Things aren't looking good. And then of course you got Sasuke. He's over there steaming. It looks like he starts steaming up from that bite that Orochimaru gave him. And like I said, I still don't know what that is. I don't know if that's some kind of curse, if that's some kind of poison. I know that his chances of living are very low. But I'm assuming that he's going to live at this point because I know he's a main character from what I've heard in the series. Nonetheless, so him and Naruto are still out, and she's going to be forced to watch one of them, you know, get killed, right, by these sound ninjas. So she goes and she's like digging hands into the dirt and stuff, and she's like, you know, thinking about going through in her head and having those mental flashbacks of kind of like, you know, I'm tired of always being like useless in the third wheel, and I'm tired of having to have other people always do things for me and save me and whatnot, right? And then she goes and right at the last page of the chapter, it's a double-page spread, she goes and pulls out one of her kunai, and the dude that's holding her's like, yeah, your tricks won't work on me, blah, 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 this and that. And she's like, oh, yeah? And I love this shit, man. Here's what she says leading up to it. So she goes, oh, you think so? And then, boom, double-page spread. She goes, and this girl who, from all intents and purposes that we've seen so far, is somebody who is very vain. Is very much about how her looks and how things are, how people perceive her. So very, very vain in the sense that she likes to look nice. You know what I mean? And she just goes and takes the kunai and just chops her hair off to get free from this dude. And everybody's like, holy shit, you know, just... excuse me, I almost swallowed. Anyway, and they're all just like, holy shit, you know, and then you got Ino over there is just like, oh my god, Sakura cut her hair off, maybe Sasuke will want to sleep with me now. Anyway, that's how the chapter ends off, though, and like I said, I thought it was a great one over here, because it was a nice thing to see Sakura kind of, I shouldn't use this term, because it sounds kind of sexist, but it's not meant to be, man up, you know, she really did, she's got to take it to the next level, man, she can't always wait for somebody to save her, and I like that she recognized that, so, very cool episode, or chapter, I should say, and you know, it's weird, because each thing has different stuff for it, you know, Toriko is a gourmet number, and this is number 20, and then some is a chapter, sometimes it's, anyway. No big deal, though. But, so the chapter, that's where it ends off. My chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is what were your thoughts on, obviously, the Sound Ninja and their use of, I mean, you know, you kind of figured they had something to do with sound and decibels and everything. But what are your thoughts on the explanation of these kind of devices that they use to be able to kind of perpetuate and propel sound to obviously disable and kind of, you know, just sort of throw their enemies off kilter. So, as well as thoughts on Sakura and obviously her just sort of, you know, her vanity sacrifice, so to speak, of just cutting her hair off. You know, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, you know what? Yes, I love my hair and my looks, but this is life or death. Shit's got to go. I got to get free. I got to do something. So let me know what your thoughts are on those. Leave the answers in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and my other channel,